It's Merriam-Webster's Word of the Day for March 17th. Today's word is Englishimbw, spelled capital Eringobragh, Englishimbw, as three words. Englishimbw is an Irish phrase that means Ireland forever. Here's the word used in a sentence from the San Diego Union Tribune by Kathleen O'Neill. This St. Patrick's Day I will celebrate alone. I will fix a plate of corned beef and cabbage, buy a loaf of Irish soda bread, and drink a mild beverage, raising a toast to family and love and to Ireland. It was not always easy being green, but it was worth it. Englishimbw. March 17th is the feast day of the patron saint of Ireland, St. Patrick. In the United States, it is also the day of shamrocks, leprechauns, and green beer, and green everything else. Blue was once the color traditionally associated with St. Patrick, but the color green has several links to Ireland, including its use on Ireland's flag in the form of a stripe. Its symbolism of Irish nationalism and the country's religious history, and its connection to Ireland's nickname, the Emerald Isle. On St. Patrick's Day, people turn to their dictionary to look up Englishimbw, which means Ireland forever. The original Irish phrase was Merriam-Webster's Word of the Day for March 18th, which translates literally as Ireland word is lacuna, doomsday, spelled L-A-C. It's an expression of loyalty. Lacuna is a noun that first appeared in English word that during the late 18th century Irish rebellion against, in other words, a missing part. When used with respect to biology, lacuna also refers to a small cavity, pit, or discontinuity in an anatomical structure. Here's the word used in a sentence from the Los Angeles Times by Lorraine Berry. When civil war broke out in 1642, the ensuing chaos was disastrous. In her new novel, The Manningtree Witches, A.K. Blakemore explores the consequences of that chaos for a group of village women through the viewpoint of a narrator named Rebecca West. West, a true historical figure, was among those prosecuted in Essex. Blakemore's novel adheres to these events but fills in the lacunae in the documents. If you find yourself drawing a blank when it comes to the definition of the word lacuna, it might help to imagine drawing water instead, ideally from a lake or lagoon. Lacuna, lake, and lagoon all come ultimately from lacus, the Latin word for lake. Latin speakers modified lacus into lacuna to form a word meaning pit, gap, or pool. When English speakers borrowed the term in the 17th century, they used it to refer to a figurative gap in or missing portion of something, such as information or text. Note that lacuna comes with two plural options, the Latin spelling lacunae or lacunae, spelled L-A-C-U-N-A-E, or the anglicized lacunas. Lagoon, meanwhile, hewed closer to the Latin lacuna, referring first to a shallow sound, channel, or pond near or connected to a larger body of water, and later to a shallow artificial pool or pond. With your Word of the Day, I'm Peter Sokolowski. It's Merriam-Webster's Word of the Day for March 19th. Today's word is tactile, also pronounced tactile, and spelled T-A-C-T-I-L-E. Tactile is an adjective. It describes something related to the sense of touch. It can also be used to describe something that is tangible, that is perceptible by touch. Here's the word used in a sentence from the Houston Chronicle by Allison Bagley. Throughout the Houston Zoo's annual October celebration, animals receive extra stimulation in the form of pumpkins. Elephants like to smash and step on the pumpkins, spokesperson Jessica Reyes says, while primates pop them open to make a snack of the seeds inside. Bears can be spotted licking the pumpkins. The tactile sensory enrichment encourages animals to be kind of curious, providing the same kind of stimulation animals get in the wild, Reyes says. Tactile has many relatives in English, from the oft synonymous tangible to the familiar words like intact, tact, tangent, contingent, and even the word entire. All of these can be traced back to the Latin verb tangere, meaning to touch. Tactile was adopted by English speakers in the early 1600s, possibly by way of the French word tactile, from the Latin adjective tactilis, meaning tangible. In light of tactile having tangere for a touchstone, its dual senses of perceptible by touch and of relating to or being the sense of touch are perfectly sensible. Since the advent of film, television, and touchscreens, a new sense also appears to be developing, as tactile is increasingly used to suggest that something visual is particularly evocative or suggestive of a certain texture. With your word of the day, I'm Peter Sokolowski.
Visit Merriam-Webster.com today for definitions, wordplay, and trending word lookups.
It's Merriam-Webster's Word of the Day for March 20th. Today's word is kith, spelled K-I-T-H. Kith is a noun. It's an old-fashioned term that refers to familiar friends, neighbors, or relatives. It's often used in the phrase kith and kin, which means friends and relatives. Here's the word used in a sentence from the Lincoln Journal-Star by Lynn Ireland. The gathering of our kith and kin usually bears the promise of festive feasting, but it's the process, cooking together, that's almost better than the results. Learning and laughing across generations is surely the sweetest dish of all. If you'd used the word kith 1,000 years ago, you might have been referring to knowledge, or to a homeland, or possibly to your neighbors and acquaintances. While those first two meanings of kith have long since fallen out of use, the word endures with a meaning very close to that neighbors and acquaintances one. Today, kith appears almost exclusively in the phrase kith and kin, meaning friends and relatives. Kin, another ancient word, can also refer independently to relatives. Occasionally, you will see kith and kin used to refer only to family members, much to the chagrin of those who despise redundancy in language. If you wish to avoid redundancy charges, you'll be sure to include friends as well as family among your kith and kin. With your word of the day, I'm Peter Sokolowski.
Visit Merriam-Webster.com today for definitions, wordplay, and
spelled F-A-W-N. Fawn is a verb. To fawn over someone is to court their favor by groveling or by flattering the person. Fawn is also sometimes used of dogs to mean to show affection. Here's the word used in a sentence from romper.com by Jamie Kenny. It seems that being a tough guy who finds his soft spot in the form of a child is his, actor Pedro Pascal's, thing, and we are here for it. You know who else is here for it? Pedro Pascal. In true daddy fashion, he is a spectacularly good sport about constantly being fawned over in this manner. Language lovers, rejoice. If you're the sort of person who fawns over etymology, one of the best sorts of people in our opinion, then you'll be glad to know the story of the word fawn. It comes ultimately from the Old English adjective fagan, meaning glad, by way of the Old English fagnan, meaning to rejoice. But we're not finished yet. Note that this fawn is not, despite appearances, related to the noun fawn that refers to a young deer. For that, we can thank the Latin noun fetus, meaning offspring. It's Merriam-Webster's Word of the Day for March 22nd. Today's word is obdurate, spelled O-B-D-U-R-A-T-E. Obdurate is an adjective. It's a formal word that means resistant to persuasion. It's also usually used to describe someone who is stubborn or not willing to change their opinion or the way they do something. Here's the word used in a sentence from The Guardian by Oliver Millman. The reincarnation of the hulking pickup truck has been lauded by manufacturer General Motors as proof that electric vehicles can now reach even Middle America's most obdurate devotees of supersized car culture. When trying to persuade someone who has an obdurate disposition, you may end up feeling rather dour about your ability to change their mind. To endure such encounters in the future, you may find you need to be more durable and not let their mulishness get you down. Maybe you will find such situations less stressful if you can face them knowing that the words obdurate, dour, endure, and durable are etymological kissing cousins. All trace back to the Latin adjective durus, which means hard. With your word of the day, I'm Peter Sokolowski.
Visit Merriam-Webster.com today for definitions, wordplay, and trending word lookups.
It's Merriam-Webster's Word of the Day for March 23rd. Today's word is symbiosis, also pronounced symbiosis, and spelled S-Y-M-B-I-O-S-I-S. Symbiosis is a noun. In the field of biology, symbiosis refers to the relationship between two different kinds of living things that live together and depend on each other. In broader non-scientific contexts, symbiosis means a cooperative relationship, such as between two persons or groups. Here's the word used in a sentence from Popular Science by Sarah Kiley Watson. I think our little butterfly house ventures have become ever more important in reminding people of the symbiosis between nature, between insects, between humans, and the whole thing, says Stephen Fried, who's built the enclosures across Western Europe. Butterflies and other insects play a myriad of roles in our natural systems, from pollinating plants to knocking out harmful pests. The word symbiosis was adopted by the scientific community in the late 1800s, coming ultimately via German from the Greek word symbiosis, meaning living together, companionship. Of course, there are a lot of ways to live together and, accordingly, several flavors of symbiosis. When a biological symbiosis between two organisms is mutually beneficial, it is termed mutualism. For example, oxpeckers are birds so named because they peck ticks off of infested cattle and wild mammals, a likely satisfying arrangement for both parties, and textbook mutualism. When one organism lives off another at the other's expense, however, as for one icky instance head lice do, it's called parasitism. If only parents of elementary school students could call upon an equivalent of oxpeckers to engage in mutualistic symbiosis when the need arose, but alas. With your word of the day, I'm Peter Sokolowski.
Visit Merriam-Webster.com today for definitions, wordplay, and trending word lookups.